everyone. So today is a continuation of the long quiz. Regarding the long quiz, I'm so sorry for those students who didn't take the long quiz yesterday because my laptop had a problem. So let's continue. Anyway, let's continue. So for those students who didn't take the exam, this is, or the long quiz rather, this is for you. So kindly get a sheet of paper and a pen so we could start. Okay, in your paper, the quiz will be only 30 minutes for you to answer. You will be given 30 minutes for you to answer. So kindly write your name, course and year, block, and write the date today. So instructions, in your long quiz, you should only write capital letter. Okay? Capital letter only. Okay, here we go. Number 1 is a communication model that is designed to help improve our interpersonal communication. Again, number 1 is a communication model that is designed to help improve our interpersonal communication. Letter A, interpersonal communication. Letter B, Johari window. Letter C, communication model. Or letter D, intrapersonal communication. Again, is a communication model that is designed to help improve our interpersonal communication. Letter A, interpersonal communication. Letter B, Johari window. Letter C, communication model. Letter D, intrapersonal communication. Number 2. Who is the proponent of Johari window? Again, who is the proponent of Johari window? Letter A, Joseph Lotz and Harry Ingham. Letter B, Socrates and Ingham. Letter C, Aristotle and Plato. Letter D, Lotz and Aristotle. Again, letter A, Joseph Lotz and Harry Ingham. Letter B, Socrates and Ingham. Letter C, Aristotle and Plato. Letter D, Lotz and Aristotle. Number 3. What is known by the person about him or herself is also known by others. Again, what is known by the person about him or herself and is also known by others. Letter A, open area, open self. Free area or free self, or the arena. Letter B, blind area, blind self or blind spot. Letter C, unknown area or unknown self. Letter D, hidden area or hidden self, avoided area or avoided self. Number 4. What is unknown by the person about him or herself but which others know? Again, what is the unknown by the person about him or herself but which others know? Letter A, open area, open self or free area or free self. Letter B, blind area or blind self. Letter C, unknown area and unknown self rather. Letter D, hidden area or hidden self or avoided area. Number 5. What the person known about himself or herself that others do not know. Again, what the person knows about himself or herself that others do not know. Letter A, open area, open self or free area. Letter B, blind area or blind self. Letter C, unknown area or unknown self. Letter D, hidden area or hidden self or avoided area or avoided self. Number 6. What is unknown by the other person about him or herself is also known by the others. Again, what is unknown by the person about him or herself and is also unknown by others. Letter A, open area, open self, or free area, or free self. Letter B, blind area, blind self, or blind spot. Letter D, unknown area or unknown self. Or letter D, letter C, unknown area or unknown self. Or letter D, unknown hidden area, hidden self, or avoided area. Number 7. What is philosophy? Again, number 7. What is philosophy? Letter A, study of human behavior. Letter B, study of wisdom. Letter C, study of love. Letter D, study of love and wisdom. Again, what is philosophy? Study of human behavior. Letter B, study of wisdom. Letter C, study of love. Letter D, study of love and wisdom. Number 8. What is psychology? Again, number 8. What is psychology? Letter A, the scientific study of mind and behavior. Letter B, studies normal and abnormal mental states, perceptual, cognitive, emotional, and social processes and behavior. Letter C, a medical practitioner specializing in the diagnostic and treatment of mental illness. Letter D, a person trained to give guidance on personal, social, and psychological problems. Number 9. Who is the father of modern and Western philosophy? Letter A, John Locke. Letter B, David Hume. Letter C, Sigmund Freud. Or letter D, René Descartes. Again, who is the father of modern and Western philosophy? Letter A, John Locke. Letter B, David Hume. Letter C, Sigmund Freud. Or letter D, René Descartes. Number 10. All of these are the notable works of René Descartes, except, again, all of these are the notable work of René Descartes, except A, Principle of Philosophy. B, A Treatise of Human Nature. Letter C, La Geometry. Or letter D, The Meditation of First Philosophy. Again, all of these are the notable works of René Descartes, except letter A, Principle of Philosophy. Letter B, A Treatise of Human Nature. Letter C, La Geometry. Or letter D, The Meditation of First Philosophy. Number 11. How does David Hume describe self? Again, how does David Hume describe self? Letter A, David Hume says that the mind and body are so intertwined that they cannot be separated from one another. Or letter B, David Hume, what truly matters is the behavior that a person manifests in his day-to-day life. Letter C, a bundle or collection of different perception. Or letter D, self is a combination of two entities, the thing that thinks, which is the mind, and the extension of the mind that is attached to the mind. Again, how does David Hume describe self? Letter A says that the mind and body are so intertwined that they cannot be separated from one another. Or letter B, what truly matters is the behavior that a person manifests in his day-to-day life. Letter C, a bundle or collection of different perception. Or letter D, self is a combination of two entities, the thing that thinks, which is the mind, and the extension of the mind that is attached to the mind. Number 12. Maurice Merleau-Ponty died on what year? Again, Maurice Merleau-Ponty died on what year? Letter A, 1961. Letter B, 1561. Letter C, 1761. Or letter D, 1861. Number 13. What are the practical philosophy of Immanuel Kant? Again, what are the practical philosophy of Immanuel Kant? Letter A, moral and political philosophy. Letter B, critic and moral philosophy. Letter C, analytic and moral philosophy. Or letter D, metaphysics and rationalism. Again, what are the practical philosophy of Immanuel Kant? Letter A, moral and political philosophy. Letter B, critic and moral philosophy. Letter C, analytic and moral philosophy. Or letter D, metaphysics and rationalism. Number 14. Who is the father of liberalism? Again, who is the father of liberalism? Letter A, Plato. Letter B, David Hume. Letter C, Socrates. Or letter D, John Locke. Again, who is the father of liberalism? Letter A, Plato. Letter B, David Hume. Letter C, Socrates. Or letter D, John Locke. Number 15. He postulated that at birth, the mind was a blank slate or tabula rasa. Again, he postulated that at birth, the mind was a blank slate or tabula rasa. Letter A, Saint Augustine of Hippo. Letter B, John Locke. Letter C, Socrates. Or letter B, Montgomery Churchland. Number 16. John Locke was born on what year? A, August 29, 1632. Letter B, October 28, 1704. Letter C, December 28, 1632. Or letter D, September 29, 1704. Again, John Locke was born on what year? Letter A, August 29, 1632. Letter B, October 28, 1704. Letter C, December 28, 1632. Letter D, September 29, 1704. Number 17. Study of knowledge. Letter A, psychology. Letter B, understanding the self. Letter C, metaphysics. Letter D, epistemology. Again, study of knowledge. Is it A, psychology? Letter B, understanding the self. Letter C, metaphysics. Or D, epistemology. Number 18. It is the study of nature. Letter A, psychology. Letter B, understanding the self. Letter C, metaphysics. Letter D, epistemology. Number 19. It includes our sense and the physical world. Again, number 19, it includes our sense and the physical world. Letter A, understanding the self. Letter B, metaphysics. Letter C, inner self. Letter D, outer self. Again, it includes our sense and the physical world. Letter A, understanding the self. Letter B, metaphysics. Letter C, inner self. Or letter D, outer self. Number 20. He is a British philosopher, a behaviorist who coined the phrase "the ghost in the machine." A British philosopher, a behaviorist who coined the phrase "the ghost in the machine." Letter A, Aristotle. Letter B, Immanuel Kant. Letter C, Socrates. Or letter D, Gilbert Ryle, rather. Number 21. The consciousness or mind carried in physical entity. It is the consciousness or mind carried in physical entity. Letter A, mind and body. Letter B, body and soul. Letter C, soul and mind. Or letter D, the ghost in the machine. Ghost in the machine, rather. Again, 21. It is the consciousness or mind carried in physical entity. Letter A, mind and body. Letter B, body and soul. Letter C, ghost in the machine. Or letter D, C, soul and mind. Or letter D, ghost in the machine. 22. He viewed the self as the perceptive of impression and ideas. Again, he viewed the self as the perception of impression and ideas. Letter A, Maurice Merleau-Ponty. Letter B, Gilbert Ryle. Letter C, Paul Montgomery Churchland. Or letter D, St. Augustine of Hippo. 23. Compromise of our psychological state and our rational intellect. It compromised of our psychological state and our rational intellect. Letter A, understanding the self. Letter B, metaphysics. Letter C, inner self. Or letter D, outer self. 24. It is the physical body to be an important part of what makes up the subjective self. Again, 24. Physical body to be an important part of what makes up the subjective self. Letter A, Maurice Merleau-Ponty. B, Gilbert Ryle. C, Paul Montgomery Churchland. Or letter D, St. Augustine of Hippo. 25. Self is how you behave. Again, 25. Self is how you behave. Letter A, Plato. Letter B, Gilbert Ryle. Letter C, Socrates. Or letter D, St. Augustine of Hippo. 26. It is the thinking thing. 26. Thinking thing. Letter A, Socrates. Letter B, Immanuel Kant. Letter C, David Hume. Or letter D, René Descartes. 27. Who says an unexamined life is not worth living? Who says that an unexamined life is not worth living? Letter A, Socrates. Letter B, Immanuel Kant. Letter C, David Hume. Or letter D, René Descartes. Number 8. Who says I only know that I know nothing? Number 28. Who says I only know that I know nothing? A, Socrates. B, Immanuel Kant. Letter C, David Hume. Letter D, René Descartes. 29. Sense of self is his relation to God, both in his recognition of God's love and his response to it, achieved through self-representation and self-realization. Again, sense of self is his relation to God, both his recognition of God's love and his response to it, achieved through self-presentation and self-realization. Is it A, Plato, B, Gilbert Ryle, C, Socrates, or D, St. Augustine of Hippo? Number 30. It is the fulfillment by oneself of the possibilities of one's character or personality. Again, 30. It is the fulfillment by oneself of the possibilities of one's character or personality. Letter A, self-presentation. Letter B, introspect. Letter C, self-realization. Letter D, self-analysis. 31 is behavior that attempts to convey some information about oneself or some image of oneself to other people. Again, 31 is behavior that attempts to convey some information about oneself or some image of oneself to other people. Is it A, self-presentation, letter B, introspect, letter C, self-realization, or letter D, self-analysis? 32. All of these are part of Plato's three-part of soul, except. Again, all of these are part of Plato's three parts of soul, except A, appetitive soul, letter D, rational soul, C, spirited soul, letter D, body and soul. 33. What is the greatest contribution of Socrates to the academic world in the teaching practice? Again, 23. What is the greatest contribution of Socrates to the academic world in the teaching practice? Letter A, pedagogy. Letter B, diathema. Letter C, Socratic method. Or letter D, gadfly. 34 rather. Who is the first person who defines self through a continuity of consciousness? Again, who is the first person who defines self through a continuity of consciousness? Is it letter A, Plato, letter B, David Hume, letter C, Socrates, or letter D, John Locke? 35. More way to go. 35. It is the theory that all knowledge is based on experience derived from the senses. Again, 35. It is the theory that all knowledge is based on experience derived from all senses or from the senses. Letter A, rationalism. Letter B, empiricism. Letter C, metaphysics. And letter D, liberalism. 36. What is the Latin meaning of tabula rasa? 36. What is the Latin meaning of tabula rasa? Is it A, blank slate? Letter B, the ghost in the machine? Letter C, a machine? Letter D, a thinking thing. 37. It is a political philosophy or worldview founded on ideas of liberty and equality. Again, it is a political philosophy or worldview founded on ideas of liberty and equality. Letter A, rationalism. Letter B, imperialism or empiricism. Letter C, metaphysics. Or letter D, liberalism. 38. Socrates' contribution to the field of philosophy. 38. What is Socrates' contribution to the field of philosophy? Is it A, Socratic problem or Socratic question? Letter B, an unexamined life is not worth living. Letter C, to know thyself. Or letter D, body and soul. 39. It develops to mediate between the unrealistic id and the external real world. Again, it develops to mediate between the unrealistic id and the external real world. Is it A, id? Letter B, ego. Letter C, superego. Letter D, pleasure principle. Number 40. Number 40, the function is the control. Again, Number 40, the function is to control the id's impulses, especially those which society forbids, such as sex and aggression. Again, 40, the function is to control the id's impulses, especially those which society forbids, such as sex and aggression. Is it A, id, letter B, ego, letter C, superego, or D, reality principle? 41. Is the primitive and instinctive component of personality. Again, 41. Is the primitive and instinctive component of personality. Is it A, id, B, ego, letter C, superego, or letter D, moral principle? 42. Love is neither physical nor divine, as it cannot be described as good or beautiful. Instead, love is the desire for something, and it is seeking for something like people, object, children, or beauty. Again, 42. Love is neither physical nor divine, as it cannot be described as good or beautiful. Instead, love is a desire for something, and it is seeking for something like people, object, children, or beauty. Is it A, Diotima, B, Gadfly, C, Socratic method, or D, pedagogy? 43. Young boys feel possessive of their mothers. Again, young boys feel possessive of their mother. Is it A, Electra complex, letter B, Oedipus complex, letter C, Electra and Oedipus complex, or letter D, complexity? 44. Find satisfaction in eliminating and retaining faces. Again, it finds satisfaction in eliminating and retaining faces. It is letter A, oral stage, letter B, phallic stage, letter C, anal stage, or D, genital stage? 45. The child is focused on oral pleasure. Again, child is focused on oral pleasure. Is it A, oral stage, B, phallic stage, C, anal stage, and letter D, genital stage? 46. Boys usually relate more with boys and girls in this stage. Again, boys usually relate more with boys and girls in this stage. Is it A, latency stage, B, phallic stage, letter C, anal stage, or letter D, genital stage? 46. Adolescents focus for their sexual urges towards the opposite sex peers, with the pleasure centered on the genital. Again, 47. Adolescents focus their sexual urges towards the opposite sex peers, with the pleasure centered on the genitals. Is it A, latency stage, letter B, phallic stage, letter C, anal stage, or letter D, genital stage? For 48 to 50, I would like you to answer or write, what is my complete name? So what is my complete name as your instructor in this understanding yourself? Okay, we're done. Time's up. So kindly send me your answer through my messenger, and I will check it. Okay, thank you, good luck, and God bless. Keep safe. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, everyone.